Couple things to remember about Syria. Number one, it's not a country in the traditional sense. In most places, you've got a water course, a river, and the culture forms around that, and then it expands out until it reaches some sort of semi-stable boundary that it can defend. Syria is the rump left over. So this is all desert. Kind of hard to do anything there. You have the Euphrates here, which is part of the old crescent of civilization, but you'll notice it's a very thin water course, and you basically have this ribbon of green. Most people live over here in this section where it actually rains, but the capital is way down here. This is where ISIS was headquartered during its brief caliphate period. Basically, whenever you're talking about this zone of desert over here, it has never been stable. This is always the part of the region where the wackos go to take over control, because they know that the bigger powers, whether it's in Damascus or the Levant or Mesopotamia or Anatolia, this is the marches, if you want to use a Roman term. Groups that can't make it elsewhere come, and every generation or two they manage to have a moment in the sun, and then someone from Mesopotamia or the Levant or Anatolia comes in and smashes them. And there was a moment when the United States had destroyed Saddam Hussein but had not really consolidated Iraq, and when Syria was in the early stages of its civil war, and when the Turks were still taking their vacation from history, that this place was a no man's land, and that's why ISIS was able to form. But as soon as one of those three groups coalesced, and two of them have, ISIS had no chance. So it is now kind of banished to a series of almost Bedou violent groups in the desert. They don't even control any of the areas where there's actually water, and so very, very small population control. Over here on the coast, you've got a chunk, well, the coast is split between Lebanon in the south and Syria in the north, but this is an area that gets the most rain, but it's also very mountainous and very forested, so really good for dissident groups to set up shop. And so a lot of the minorities that exist in the Levant in general and in Syria in specific live in this area. And Latakia specifically is a holdout of a group called Alawites. The Christians and the Muslims both consider them a heretical group. It's kind of a hybridized religion, but this is where the Assad family comes from. So basically, you've got a largely Sunni Arab country of Syria being ruled by a very small minority that the Arabs think are apostates. And so you can imagine how that colors civil relations. Down in the south, you have Damascus. Now, Damascus is a classic oasis city, and it is surrounded by desert, and there's this huge desert gap between it and most of the rest of populated Syria. So the cities that are removed, which always makes controlling this area difficult.